Welcome to episode 7 of the Animus Island podcast, a weekly podcast focusing on everything Assassin's Creed community, news, and discussion. I'm one of your hosts, Aftermath1231. With me today, as usual, is Aries.
Hello, friends.
And McCracKenway.
Hey, everybody.
And our guest this week is RinoTheBouncer.
Good evening, Assassins.
Today, we will be discussing Rhino's time on the subreddit. No, his time in the community as a whole. A very short time on the subreddit. Then we'll be discussing Chronicles China, which came out this week. Then we'll move on to Bishop, and maybe we'll touch on the modern day for a bit. So let's get started. So, Reno, first off, would you like to explain to the listeners whether they are supposed to call you, is it Reno, or is it Rhino, or is it both?
Okay, let me make this clear. If you write it R-I-N-O, you say it Rhino, and you can say Rhino the Bouncer. But if you want to write my name just as R-E-N-O, you can say it Reno. But don't write R-E-N-O when it's in Rhino the Bouncer, because there has to be an I in Rhino the Bouncer. So choose whichever you want, and both are correct.
Yeah.
As long as you put them in the right place.
Yeah. So, Rhino, would you like to tell us a little bit about your time in the Assassin's Creed community and when you first got into Assassin's Creed?
Oh yeah, that takes me back to 2007. That's when I was in a gaming store and I was with my friend. We were looking for PS3 games and I just got my console. It was my third game. We looked at so many games and he said, "Why don't you get Assassin's Creed?" So I was like, "What's that about?" So he said, "There it is. It's a historical game." So I look at the box art. It's cool, but I wasn't such a big fan of historical settings in general for movies, books, games. Like, whoa, the irony. But then he said it contains sci-fi elements that you're gonna like, in his own words. And I was like, okay, so let's try it. And I bought it. I took it home with me, and I started playing. And then this modern day segment came up, and then it was interesting for me. And then I started progressing. And just when Dr. Warren Vidic said, "There are gifts, Mr. Miles, from those who came before," that's the moment where I was like, this is absolutely for me. I absolutely love these sci-fi elements or ancient astronaut theories. And this game brings absolutely everything from conspiracy theories to ancient astronaut theories. It's absolutely amazing. So that's when I started.
And when did you get into the online community, like the Ubisoft forums?
I guess in 2009, that's when I started getting more into the games. So I joined the forums. I wanted to discuss some stuff about the games that I did not understand, or just wanted to know about the future and meet some fans. I wasn't very active. I was mainly like an observer. I would just watch the cool threads and the news and stuff. But then when I got the hang of the story and the lore of the game, I started discussing stuff with other fans, making theories, and the likes.
Yes. Fair enough. And so, Rhino, one of the main things that you're known for in the Assassin's Creed community is your Facebook fan page, the lore pages. Would you like to tell us a bit about what its focus is?
Yeah, well, it's mainly focused on the lore and the modern day First Civilization, Pieces of Eden, the deep and detailed stuff in the games that some fans do not focus on, but I think they're part of the core of the games and what makes the franchise so special. It's what made me love the franchise. It's what made this franchise so distinguished among so many other franchises, including historical ones. So throughout my discussions with other fans on the forums about the lore, I usually, I really love the third-person modern-day style. So I always write threads about how it can be improved, how the modern day can be a more pivotal role, can have a more pivotal role, just like it used to during the Desmond saga. So some fans would tell me not many people care about the modern day or the lore, and most people care about historical tourism and, So this was my motivation, because I was like, how about we just try and bring this lore to the front page and make everyone see how important it is. And then when more fans are going to see it, then more fans are going to be interested in it and going to go back and replay those games to understand more about it and see how essential it is to the franchise. And when they do, Ubisoft is going to hear us as fans. They're going to see how much we love this part. So in future games, this lore and this First Civilization segments, Pieces of Eden, modern day, it's going to evolve into a bigger and bigger part of the franchise. So this was my main motive, because I wanted to, like, if some people did not understand it, like, let's be honest, when I started playing the game, there were so many stuff that I missed and I did not understand, and I wanted someone to guide me through it. So I kept reading encyclopedia books and the wiki and so many other fan pages, and I saw how rich it is, and it really makes me sad to see some people do not know anything about these stuff and just play, like, to move around and assassinate Templars, and just that's it, But for me, I think this is what makes the game what it is, and this is the brilliant work of the developers. So it saddens me to see that not many people know about it, and my main point is to make more people know about it. And aside from making theories or speculating stuff, and the other exciting stuff, but the main focus is to show the fans and show Ubisoft how important it is.
I love your passion. Quick question. It's twofold. We usually ask what our guest's favorite game is, but I will say, which is your favorite game for the historical aspect, and which is your favorite game for the modern day aspect?
Okay, this gets tricky. Well, let's say my most favorite game. I'd say Assassin's Creed 2, but to be more fair, I say the Ezio trilogy as a whole, because this is when basically everything was in motion. Everything was so active, so rich, and everything. There was so many stuff happening on every side of the franchise, whether it's modern day or history or the clay glyphs, the glyphs that Clay put into the Animus, and so many others. There were so many stuff happening. So this was the most important and entertaining part of the whole franchise, in my opinion. And I also love Assassin's Creed 3. It's really beautiful because it continues the whole style of. That continues discussing the lore in depth with detailed modern day, with first Civ story and artifacts and the likes. But to say what's my favorite setting, it would be a tie between Assassin's Creed Revelations and Assassin's Creed 3, I guess. Because I absolutely love the frontier in Assassin's Creed 3. It's so beautiful, it's so rich, and like this is a controversial opinion. Most fans demand ambient music during exploration. I love the fact that there was no music in AC3, because you're just listening to the sound of the nature, and it felt so real, and it's endless. I've played AC3 so many times, and I don't think I ever got even close to exploring everything. It was so big that it makes you feel like, whoa, this is absolutely amazing. So. But as a city, I really love Istanbul and AC Revelations, because it was so warm, so detailed and vibrant, and it was so beautiful. It was perfect for parkour. The whole game had an amazing atmosphere. I can also say that AC2 was beautiful because it had multiple locations, and they were different from one another. So that too is one of my favorites. But for the modern day, I love what AC Brotherhood and AC3 did with the modern day. AC Brotherhood had actual missions, and AC3 too. AC3. Well, I'm not going to discuss what's good and what's bad about the missions, because that's not the point here. But I love how they were structured. You have this base, which is the Grand Temple, and you go out of your way to do certain linear standalone missions, and you go inside the Animus, you learn stuff, and you get out so you can help yourself with the information you've learned in modern day, and you explore different places. This is an ideal way to handle modern day, in my opinion. I think this is the best way, and same goes for AC Brotherhood. Even though it was much more minimal, but it was amazing. I love the cliffhangers. I love the exploration. I love how there are how it's so rich and so relevant. To me, Assassin's Creed is not just some entertainment or just another game. Assassin's Creed is a source of knowledge for me, and I'm not even exaggerating, because there are so many stuff that you do not encounter in your everyday life or in your studies at school or in college, or you don't really discuss these things, but they are there in the world and history, and people don't really focus on that. But Assassin's Creed brings all those conspiracies and out-of-place artifacts and theories, and whether religious or scientific or pseudoscience, it brings them to the screen, to you, right to your room or to your gaming console, and you get so excited to learn more about them, because of course you're not going to understand it when you look at it first, and then you're going to go to Google and you start, look, hey, what's that artifact? What is this conspiracy, or who's that figure that they mentioned in the game? Is this a real person, or is this a fictional character in the game? So this is what happened to me. I kept looking up stuff, and I've learned so much because of this amazing franchise. Not to mention, like, English is not my first language, and because of video gaming in general since 1997, I've become a fluent English speaker because of those. Because you see these subtitles, you hear people speaking, you learn how the word is spoken, and how it's written in the subtitles, and you have to know the meaning so you can progress. So Assassin's Creed added even more to that, like, and honing my skills and my linguistic skills, and also with my general ability in writing, and yes, so many stuff. Like, Assassin's Creed helped me in so many different ways, and I can't even begin to count how many cool stuff there are in this franchise that makes it beyond just entertainment. It's a form of art, that's for sure, and it's also a huge source of knowledge and inspiration to me. So I'm greatly thankful to Ubisoft for what they've done in every single segment of this franchise.
So our first discussion this week is on Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, which came out just last Tuesday. Half of us here have not finished it. Myself and Rhino are... Rhino is, you're on sequence 3, I'm on sequence 9, I think. McCracKenway and Aftermath have both finished it, so in the interest of not giving spoilers to all of you viewers who have not finished it yet, because a week is a very short period of time, we're going to be spoiler light. We won't be talking about the story at all or any locations later in the game. We're just going to be talking about the gameplay, how it feels, what we like, what we don't like, and all the stuff that won't ruin your experience if you haven't finished it yet. So, I'll go first. I am on sequence 9 or so of however many it is, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever. But I'm having fun with it. I think the description of it as Mark of the Ninja meets Assassin's Creed is a pretty good way to describe it. The gameplay, for me, I've been going Assassin all the way through. What I wish I could do was, I wish there was more of a reason to play the Brawler, because the combat seems fun. I've been enjoying it in the tutorials when I've been playing it, but I haven't actually fought a guard in the actual game, because I feel like if I'm doing the combat, I'm losing stealth and I'm not playing it properly. So I don't know if you guys feel that too, but I feel like I sort of have to play stealth, otherwise I'm taking the easy way out.
Yeah, I do kind of... I've been going Shadow because, as far as I know, I think Shadow gets you the most points.
Shadow gets you the most score, Assassin's next, and then Brawler's last.
Yeah, so to get like the max score, which there are achievements for on the levels, you kind of have to do Shadow. So what I've been doing is I've learned that you can restart checkpoints as many times as you want, and it won't take things away from you. So I'm not totally sure this will work, but what I've been doing when I'm like going for combat achievements, which I've not got yet because it requires more kills than I'm probably going to make on a single playthrough, but I'll get to like a point where there's a lot of reinforcement doors, and I'll start combat, and when I finish them off, I'll restart the checkpoint and do it the right way, shadowy.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I have played through the game twice now, and I'm currently live streaming my way through the third. For my third playthrough through Plus Hard. I'm really enjoying it. I love the gameplay. Getting Shadow Gold is just difficult enough that it's really rewarding, and other than one specific mission, it's not too frustrating. I'm really enjoying it. I still need to get through most of the trophies. I've been practicing my speedrunning on several things. We might even, maybe we'll have like a speedrunning tournament on the subreddit at some point.
That'd be fun.
Which would be pretty cool. Maybe we could everyone could live stream it or something like that. We could race, which would be pretty fun. I would enjoy that. I really like it. I like its focus and its ability to do speedrunning. There's a few bugs, which I've noticed. Like on the mission 1, the max score I believe is 1,300, while my best score is 20,000.
Well, it does change depending on what difficulty you're on.
Does it? No,
yes.
That was before I even... No, I believe the max score is the same, and Plus just allows you to double it.
Well, let's just agree.
Sure?
You haven't fallen through the world, have you?
No, I haven't thought.
So we're
No.
off to a great start, and let's just appreciate what
only-
we have.
They're the only thing that I might call like a gameplay bug, really, is that there were a couple places where I was like very dependent on the guards doing their normal patrol routes. Like they'd start off talking, and then they patrol. After a couple times, doing trial and error, I'd restart the checkpoint, and they always started talking, and they'd be talking when I got there, and then they wouldn't stop talking, and they wouldn't patrol. So I was just kind of stuck there, waiting for them to do something.
There's some, but the AI can do occasionally strange things with the restarting checkpoint system. There's nothing game breaking. It's just slightly annoying, and like
Doesn't happen often.
like in the pause screen, the stats can be a little off, and it's like with each playthrough, it's really weird how like the have you gotten the upgrades or not section of the pause screen has always. It's like, have you gotten this playthrough or not? And so, but they carry on over each playthrough, and so once you get out of the game onto the main menu, then it says you have, but in the game it says you haven't. So it's really difficult to tell whether you've actually gotten the upgrade or not within the game.
I don't know whether I would prefer the upgrade system to be, okay, you finish the level, have these 2 or 3 upgrades, or you have to buy certain upgrades. I know Mark of the Ninja did it that you had to buy them, I think. But I'm sort of torn between whether I like the system that Chronicles has or whether I don't.
Well,
What do
it
you guys
doesn't have like you explained as if it has like you finish the level heaven. It's score based. You have to do
Oh, it is?
well enough. Yeah. And
Not that hard, but
and there's the especially once you get plus, because plus doubles your score.
it allows you to
and
get
there's
even better upgrades.
Yeah, and there's the plus exclusive scores upgrades as well. And so they're not just giving them to you.
Oh,
You have to
never mind then.
You have to do well enough in the mission to get them, or play through it again on plus. And
Well, that was not explained to me.
badly. Yeah, it's the game can be a little difficult to get used to.
Reno, what's your experience been so far?
I actually haven't played any scrollers before or any games in the same style of AC Chronicles China, but I'm actually loving it. I mean, maybe maybe just because I love Assassin's Creed so much, it's so amazing so far. The gameplay is fun. It feels challenging at some point, and there's a story, and the protagonist is really likable. Like, even though we don't hear from her so much, and I'm only at the very beginning so far, but I'm really interested in seeing more. I'm not much into doing these challenges or following a specific style or being stealthy. I mean, this is this is how I am with Assassin's Creed in general. All kinds of games, in every single installment of the Assassin's Creed franchise, I don't really follow any rules or optional objectives. I just do what I feel like, and I mainly play for the story. So it's kind of similar here for me. So sometimes I'm a brawler when I got the sword. Sometimes I'm an assassin, and if I happen to be all stealthy and like taking the stealthy approach, that would be cool for me. But I don't really focus much on, like, I don't take this as a challenge for me or anything.
Yeah. One thing
I'm really interested.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. And one thing we haven't touched on yet is that it has this most extremely beautiful art style.
Yes, the art style
it's
is
so
gorgeous.
amazing. It's beautiful, and the draw distance, you actually get to see, like, you look at it like it's some sort of a painting, but then you're diving deeper and deeper into that painting, and you discover that this background is actually a place that you can go through, and this is this is where the level is headed. It's not just going forward. It's not just scrolling forward.
yeah.
It's going deep into the beautiful art style of this game.
Even the backgrounds, I mean, it's very painting based, but even the backgrounds that you can't enter, like, very far back of the screen.
Yeah, are still beautiful on their own.
Yeah, they're very beautiful. They also have a sense of depth on some levels that I just realized I can't talk about. But
I'm also really impressed with the depth.
It doesn't feel like it's a picture in the background. It feels like it's something with depth, not just some picture that they place so it can make a beautiful scene, Even if you're not going into it,
Yeah, also with the level design itself and the gameplay, I'm impressed with 2.5D. I just thought, like, okay, so there's one 2D plane, There's another 2D plane. There may be a third 2D plane, but no, there's you can rotate. There's so much variability in how the levels are designed, even with this little 2.5D setup. I'm really blown away by how dynamic it manages to be.
I absolutely love the way it works with the 2.5D. I'm very much sold on it.
Yeah, I really like it. The game wouldn't have been the same if it just kept 2D.
Yeah, not at all.
Let me add this. From the looks of Assassin's Creed China, it feels as if, I mean, I can't speak for Ubisoft, but I just look at it and I really hope that this is some attempt to test the waters for this settings and see how fans react to it, because, and eventually they can turn it into a full main installment of the franchise. It would be really amazing, because Xiao Jun is beautiful. She's a great character. She's a fan favorite, and some fans have been calling for a female protagonist, and she seems like a fan favorite. She's a female. Her setting, like so many people are demanding China, and there's a game starring Xiao Jun in China. This would be like mixing everything the fans love about the franchise, or everything they want to see in one game. So so far, I say AC Chronicles China has been so beautiful and so interesting for me, and I'm sure there's going to be I'm hoping for some cool revelations about the box. Even though I don't want to discuss much about the story here. But so I'm really excited, and I really hope that these AC Chronicles games would eventually become full games, because so far, judging by the trailer, they look so deep, they look so well made, so artistic, and the gameplay is also very entertaining. I mean, I always love games with awesome graphics and 3D and stuff, but these games are really beautiful the way they are. They're just so artistic and so much fun to play, and they're just as challenging.
I'm definitely looking forward to India and Russia.
Yeah, I hate to burst your bubble, Reno, but I think that we discussed this a little bit earlier, a couple weeks ago, but our consensus was that the reason we probably won't get a full game with Xiaoyun or Arbazmir or Nikolai Orlov is because we've had the Chronicles games, and that's sort of the fans that really do love these characters, and I'm one of them. I personally feel like this is good. This is what I would have liked to see out of the three of them. And this is, personally, for me, it's enough. But also, I think Ubisoft always likes to err on the side of branching out rather than consolidating. So I think, as cool as it would be to see a full game with Xiaoyun or Xiaojun, I think this is all we're probably going to get.
I'm not so sure anymore with how.
Actually, I had both ideas.
Yeah.
I think
when I heard of AC Chronicles China when it was first revealed as a DLC, and then we kind of felt like, from the looks of the name, I immediately knew that it's like AC Chronicles China. So there's going to be AC Chronicles, for example, Iraq, or AC Chronicles Egypt, or back at that time we did not know about India and Russia. So I thought any country could be part of the AC Chronicles series, sub-series.
And I hope they keep it going.
I thought it could be. Yeah, me too. I mean, so far there are no plans or any confirmation whether this is all we're going to get or there's going to be more, but I hope they keep it going. And so from the first moment I've learned about it, I thought it could be either a way to test the waters for new settings and see how fans react, or it could be a way to just give the most dedicated fans what they really want without having to make a full game about it. So I can't really judge, to be honest.
one of the things I feel like with the story, as far as wrapping up characters, or giving people what they want from characters, without going into too much detail, I'm fairly certain that after this game, there will still be people saying that we should have more Xiaoyun and we should explore more of her.
Yeah.
Although I think Ubisoft would always like to err on the side of, we want to see more of this, then we want to see less of this.
Well, I think
that's just a rule in general. Is you always want people wanting more, never wanting less.
There's a trade-off here, which is that, I mean, I like all the locations. This is in the broader series. I like all the locations we go to in the broader series, but one of going into Rogue's great strengths or the Ezio trilogy's great strengths is that you had recurring characters who you felt attached to and had some basis in the lore already. So by the time, especially by the end of the Ezio trilogy or by the end of Rogue, it feels like it has more weight in the universe because the characters. It's like when you have any trilogy of games. Like the third one is always the biggest and most impressive, or like the most is at stake. So when you have like in Rogue, the fates of all these characters being traded around, it feels like a more epic conclusion, I guess.
Yeah.
This week's character discussion is on Bishop. Come on, Bishop's not a character. She's a more annoying version of the objective list for co-op missions. She is easily the worst thing in the modern day. You know what, though? It is a good jumping off point to talk about the modern day as a whole. Hopes, fears, especially fears with Bishop and Unity.
All right. So yeah, as McCracKenway just mentioned, we're going to use this topic of using Bishop to talk more about the modern day or lack thereof in Unity. Let's go ahead and Aries, do you have anything you want to?
Well, I personally didn't really like Bishop at all. Like McCracKenway said, she's just kind of there. And Unity's modern day was dreadfully tiny, and it's a serious problem because you have two very vocal groups of people. You have the people who say the modern day is the absolute worst thing about Assassin's Creed and it should go away forever. And then there are people who say, actually, I kind of like the modern day. If you look at the reviews for Rogue and Unity that came out at the exact same time, people in Rogue said, oh, the modern day is so boring, I wish it went away. And the same people who reviewed Unity said, I kind of wish the modern day was here. So it's an absolute mess because you can't really appease anyone because it's completely split down the middle from what I've seen.
Yeah. That's a good point. Actually, I hadn't noticed the difference between the reviews in Rogue and Unity. That's very interesting.
It's so hypocritical. It's actually pretty funny. But I get what they were trying to do with Unity, and I forgot who said it, but I think it may have been Darby, maybe, or Jeffrey O'Hallam, I forget, who said that there was a much more fleshed out modern day that they just kind of cut.
Darby.
Yeah.
It was. They had plans for that, but they decided to take a more route with focusing on Paris and the historical setting for Unity.
Yeah, and even when AC4 came out, they said in the lead up to that during the dev cycle that we're switching from now that AC3 is done and Desmond is burnt to a crisp, that we're trying to make the modern day a persistent context rather than a story. And I think it shows, especially with the way that they've treated Abstergo Industries, or Abstergo Entertainment rather, and in Unity, that it's a context less than a story, or more a context than a story, but it's a mess because no one's happy.
Yeah. McCracKenway, do you have any thoughts on modern day in Unity and Bishop?
Well, when you first meet Bishop, I didn't really have anything against her, I guess. I didn't really have anything against her for most of the game. Mostly what annoys me about Bishop, I guess, is that she's associated with this game where there's like a complete absence of like real modern day content, and she's part of the lack of modern day content, I guess. And it's a backwards way of saying that, but if you talk about Bishop as a character, then she is, like I mentioned, she's very annoying in the co-op missions. Just the things she says are just get on your nerves, I guess, especially when you replay the co-op missions and you hear them again and again.
Yeah, she is just where the paintings are. God damn it!
Yeah, your princess is in another castle.
She's just
it's essentially that
yelling at you all the time. And then the riffs as well. She just doesn't shut up. I actually turned off voice for when I was going through the riffs because I just couldn't handle it anymore.
I like the riffs. I like the way the time anomalies work. Yeah, McCracKenway, go ahead.
I thought the riffs. Like the initial setup for the rifts, I thought was really cool for each one. So like the linear missions, I guess, the ones where you have a break between sequences and you run through the Belle Epoque, getting to the exit, climbing up Lady Liberty, or World War II, climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I thought those were really cool, and I thought, like, this is an interesting way to see briefly, like, a setting that we're not gonna get much of, mostly just because they were both they're more modern, and I guess we've had a lot of negative indications from the developers about going to the modern day. Getting closer to the modern day. That's not really going to happen, especially with World War II. That seems to be pretty much off the table. But it was nice to, like, have this thing and have this context for why, I guess, you're running around, like, doing things that are not, like, attached at all to the time period, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's it's certainly something. Now, Rhino, I know you have quite a few thoughts on this, mainly because you're Mr. Modern Day. Would you like to tell us some of your thoughts about Unity's Modern Day, the Rifts, and Bishop?
Yeah, I think I can't give an opinion about Bishop herself or any modern day character that appeared in AC Unity because they weren't given enough screen time or any significant interaction. There wasn't any significant interaction with them that where you can judge or evaluate them as characters or evaluate their intentions or their character development. Or you can't really judge any of them because like all we got were just a person, unknown person, a gamer playing a game, and someone hacks you into your console and would appear as a webcam and tells you a few things, and eventually they would just tell you that whatever you've done, it just did not work in the end. So I think I was disappointed in that because it didn't feel rewarding in the end. I was hoping to feel, like in AC1, you kind of learned something really big about the world, even though it was also Desmond was basically stuck in this Abstergo building and this Abstergo room, actually, not even a building. And there wasn't much of exploration or gameplay. Same for AC2, but by the end of each game, there was something significant. There was a huge cliffhanger. There was some big revelation, something that gets you excited. But just didn't feel any of that in AC Unity's modern day segment. And as for the rifts were really beautiful at first. I was excited when I saw the trailer. I was actually at the mall and I saw the trailer and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. That's the Eiffel Tower. But then I was hoping that each rift would be more like, if we're just, if it's a glitch that's taking us to a different time period, then how about just living as a different person in that time period? Like maybe we can just suddenly wake up as Jacques Desmoulins or someone in his time. That way, not rather than just collecting artifacts so you can patch up a glitch, or adhere into the fabric of the Animus programming, and you just have to patch it up by collecting stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not bad if it was fun, but I think it's fun as a side mission, not as a way to progress into the story, because it did not really progress the story. It was just, it was so interesting to see the rifts from the perspective of Bob Fraser from the AC Unity Abstergo employee handbook.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, there was a story of Robert Bob Fraser, and he talked about living his life as Arno Dorian, and then and he talked about slipping into different time periods, and then Abstergo kind of covered that up or thought he was hallucinating or whatever. So it felt a lot more interesting from that perspective because it echoed the bleeding effect that Clay and Desmond had. It was more like that than just a glitch. So I actually really wish that we get something in the style of the old stuff, because that's when you feel there is actual progress than just a context or just something that says, okay, I'm here, but I don't change anything, I'm just here and that's it. So yeah.
Sorry, to the point of why Arno and not someone else, I always thought it was kind of funny because Arno never really speaks in the rifts, so I feel like he's like, where the hell am I? What is going on here? Why are there things in the sky shooting at me? I wish someone could just do a voiceover of what Arno is thinking while he's going through the rifts. Oh god, that'd be really funny.
Actually, it would have been amazing if we could just, as I said, we could just wake up in a different time period, and us as the player would find ourselves in a different time period. Like, hey, what the hell happened? Where are we now? Why are we in the World War II time period? Why are we? Where did the revolution go? So it would be interesting, like to wake up as a different character and hear a certain see a cutscene or play something really small and linear and just understand something significant, like you discovered, like let's say this Juno had something to do with this glitch. It would have been a lot more interesting if it was that way, like these glitches had a point, not just glitches that just happened. I mean, there were so many files in the Intel in ACUD that said that Juno, and along with Ita and the instruments of the first world, were actually communicating through the helix. They were hacking into the system, and Abstergo didn't know what to do about it. So maybe these rifts could have been part of their plan. They wanted to show you something, and you saw it. Just like how Juno made Clay see things and see possibilities. This would have been a lot more interesting than just glitches. That's like I think what the modern day really needs is some detailed and interesting story rather than just presence. Because this Phoenix project was really interesting, and I saw it at first. They were saying the Phoenix project, and I was, wow, this is going to be amazing. We're finally going to reconstruct or sequence the full genome or DNA for the Homo sapiens divinus, which are the first of members. So, but then like this didn't go anywhere, and neither did the story of the sage. So this was the only disappointment I had. Otherwise, everything about Unity was cool for me. Like, but this was just not the way I hoped it would turn out to be.
Yeah, overall it kind of felt a bit pointless because Jermaine being a sage didn't really mean anything in the end.
No, not at all. Not even slightly.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, I think that wraps up the episode for this week. Thanks for joining us, Rhino.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's so good to be invited here and discuss the lore. It's what I love. It's what I love doing the most.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. The music used in the episode can be found in the description along with timestamps for everything we discussed. As usual, you can reach us on the Assassin's Creed subreddit, which is assassinscreed.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/Assassin's Creed, as well as on Twitter and through our email, animusislandpodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we're joined by The Talking Sandwich to talk about his time on the subreddit and his time in the community. If you'd like to be a guest or would like to ask us a question to answer on the show, then you can contact us in any of the ways listed earlier or any of the ways listed in the description. Once again, thanks for joining us and have a good night.